very, very soon. He's the CEO for iClass Logistics and Services. We have Mr. Vijay Sharma here, who's the head cargo business for Delhi Airport GMR. We have Mr. Sanjeev Gupta, who's CEO of Spice Express. We have the lovely Kritika Seth Chaudhary, who's the executive director for Allied Aviation. Welcome, my lovely panel. It's a pleasure to have all of you here, and I look forward to an hour of a very engaging session, and which should be knowledgeable for our audience, which comes in from around the world. It's a pleasure to have everybody here. I would like to start this discussion and would like to open this by one of the points that I thought was very relevant. In terms of the current capacity impact for domestic and international, keeping India as its origin or destination in mind, what do you think are the current trends of the capacity available, and what do you foresee over the next 30 to 60 days as the capacity going ahead? Maybe I'll request Mr. Vijay to start this, and then we'll move on to our next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Yash. It's a very important question, which is a need of an hour today. With this unfortunate event of COVID-19 and the government deciding that passenger flights will go off, but thanks that the cargo flights are on, and a lot of freighter operations which we have seen at various airports in India, that has reduced per se, but government as well as the airline operators have taken a good step to build in the capacities, to build in that vacuum which has immediately built up. Nevertheless, the capacities available, the capacities will be raising a lot of challenges to all the community, to all the trade. But one thing is for sure, that government has come up with a lot of innovative ideas, like SpiceJet. Mr. Sanjeev is here, and they have transformed the passenger aircrafts into the cargo aircrafts, which is really a good thing to have. And in such kind of a situation where we have challenges coming in, we have innovations also built up. But coming to the point that how the capacities are going to be coming up, a lot of airlines are taking steps now. Now, Vistara has come up with the freighter operations between Delhi, Bombay, and other stations. SpiceJet is doing a lot of rounds, which they are doing it. Air India per se, they have built up a lot of capacities, transferring the cargo from one location to the other. Maybe we have to, as a collective way, we have to see that how the capacities can be built up. At the same time, when we talk about the capacities, there also have to be cargo, because when the freighter operations are there, the cargo has to be at the both sides. There are challenges. Cargo can move, the freighters can move on one side. Sometimes we have also seen that capacities are available, but cargo is not there. And that is because of the challenges which the trade is facing, which the airlines are facing, that how to bring cargo to the airport and how to take the cargo from the airport. So while the capacities may be available, then there is a challenge that how to move the cargo. At the same time, we have to see that the freighter operations, while transferring into the passenger aircrafts, building up the capacities, that these are the key facilitators which can happen. And thanks to the airlines which have come forward to build those capacities, they have gone out of the way. They have gone to destinations which are not being served as of now. The transportation has been very difficult. The charter flights have been introduced. So this is how the cargo is getting connected to different parts of the country and even different parts of the world, which the domestic airlines, which were used to be the domestic airlines, now say Bhutan, the SpiceJet, and others are doing international flights. So that is good thing. And that is how the capacities which has seen the vacuum is now seeing that how to cater to that. But nevertheless, the capacities has to be built up. At the same time, we have to see that we have sufficient cargo to build up their bellies, to build up their operations, so that this becomes a sustainable business for everyone. I would not say it is a business, but it is a need of an hour. It is an essential thing which needs to be taken into consideration. And I think all the stakeholders are coming together. One good thing which has really triggered in this particular situation is that all stakeholders have come together. The airlines have come together, the airport operators have come together, all the stakeholders have come together. The only thing is that how do we meet the last mile connectivity? So that is how the things need to be shaped up, which are getting shaped up, but it requires some more focus to address to these kind of challenges.
Great. Thank you, Vijayji, for an interesting perspective. You mentioned about the challenge, not just on the supply side. So it's not just the capacity, which is an issue, but it's also the demand side challenge, which is there. That possibly, while the aircrafts might be there to operate, but it's not that all the products are currently able to move. Let me just move over to Sanjeev and ask him, because he's been in the heart of operation on the domestic side and on the international side as Spice Express. So Sanjeev, how do you see both these aspects, the current capacity available, as well as the demand side challenges that you see currently?
%25 of.
Maybe you can start again, Sanjeev, because you were muted
Yeah.
before. Now it's okay.
Yeah. So I'm saying, pre and post-COVID, all the passenger flights did not stop operating, and therefore we had just 5 freighters. And out of those 5 freighters, we used to run about 4 domestic routes and 1 international route. But all the 4 domestic routes actually did not see any demand because e-commerce was out, production in factories was stopped, so all the electronics, all the mobiles was not available. So therefore, we took those 5 freighters and saw that there was a demand for perishables in the Middle East, and we used the freighters initially for that, and then we started moving to geographies which we've never done before, like Singapore and all, bringing in medical supplies, bringing in IT hardware, taking stuff from here. We've just opened up China for bringing back supplies, and I see that as a pretty big lane or a channel, a demand side requirement over the next 2-3 months. So if you see for the next, since you talked about the next 1 month or 2 months, we're really seeing that our freighters are pretty much occupied now in China, in Southeast Asia, in Singapore, in Rangoon, and Bangkok. So we are really seeing our freighters doing that. And therefore, we need to create capacity, which, as Vijay said, we did it through cargo and seat, because we still needed to serve the perishable market in the Middle East. We've, I think us and a lot of others, Fly Dubai, have started sending packs on cargo on seat with fruits and vegetables to various destinations in Middle East. So therefore, we've augmented our capacity both domestically and internationally with cargo on seat. We are now doing. We are seeing domestic demand pick up as pharma is needed to be sent across metros and mini metros and small towns. We are seeing some production starting in some factories, so that demand building up. So earlier we were doing about 1 rotation domestically per day. Now we are seeing about 3 or 4 a day across the country of cargo on seat. We've also started using our bombardiers for ferrying cargo. So for when there is less cargo, which is about 5 tons, we use our bombardiers for doing small towns. We just did one in Indore, Hyderabad. We've done the small towns. So we believe that there is a lack of connectivity to the small town, and therefore you need a much smaller aircraft, 4 to 5 tonner, which can, and a much cheaper aircraft which can manage those prices. So we are doing that. So, I really think that after May 3rd, if e-commerce comes back and production starts, then the domestic demand will start. And I think packs on or a cargo on seat can you know, can build up capacity pretty easily. For example, we've sent about 16 tons to Abu Dhabi today from Bombay. And if we are able to do that with fruits and vegetables, and we are able to ensure that we do skidded cargo in Southeast Asia and medical supplies we do on our normal freighters, then we believe that there is, and we do the tier 2 towns with our bombardiers, then we believe that the capacity would be would we can match capacity, right? And secondly, I think first mile we also used to do door to door, unlike any other airline. So we are now finding that our first mile and last mile, which was completely shut down for the first 15-20 days, we are slowly able to start doing it in metros, and we are offering that service now to at least the pharma companies and a lot of other companies in major towns. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Sanjeev. That was a good perspective, and it's commendable the task that Spice is able to carry out domestically and as well as in the vicinity of India in ensuring that the EXIM continues to move. Of course, we do understand that on the demand side, like you mentioned, in the first couple of weeks of lockdown, the bigger challenge was the first and the last mile operation, and now since that operation has slowly started to happen, I'm sure more products will be able to move around and probably be able to boost demand, which will ensure that all the available capacity is optimized as well as new capacity is being sought after.
Yeah.
Kritika, let me just move to you. I mean, how do you see the current demand side and supply side in terms of the capacity available in the domestic and in the international route?
Thanks, Yash, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Good afternoon. I hope everyone is safe and with their family. Jumping up onto your question, Yash. So I see currently there are three commodities that are in high demand right now. Technical textiles, you have the PPE kits, you have agriculture, that is the perishable, and you have the pharma, the medicinal supplies that needs to be transferred globally. How are we catering to these kind of commodities right now, right? Like Mr. Sharma said, we have P2Cs that have come in, passenger to cargo aircraft that we're using. Globally, it is a grim situation where the capacity has declined in multiple trade lanes. Like for instance, India to Europe, the trade lane has declined by 30%. Another bleeding trade lane is Latin America to Africa, that has declined by 60%. But however, freighter capacity, if you have to look at a year-on-year analysis of the freighter capacity, that has increased by 17% of the block hours that they normally did in 2019. So we see a lot of freighters being used, which also makes me wonder that when these freighters have to go into maintenance, how will the capacity then be taken into consideration then? Yeah, and like Mr. Gupta also mentioned, SpiceJet is doing a fantastic job in connecting and catering to these demands through freighters and through charters and through P2Cs. We have done similarly a few freighters out of Bangalore into Africa through Ethiopian Airlines. We've done some relief supplies out of Mumbai to Kuala Lumpur through Malaysian Airlines. So we have a lot of movement that is going on, and like others, we're also trying to get innovative to see how we can cater to these three commodities that the world needs right now.
Thank you, Kritika. So I'll also come in here as a freight forwarder, which is one of our core business. I mean, being India's largest international freight forwarder, Skyways has seen a lot of challenge in terms of movement of goods, be it domestically in India or be it internationally. But this challenge was more so in the first week to 10 days of the lockdown. Subsequently, we have seen a lot of capacity amply available all over. And it's been more on the demand side where certain products are actually not moving because of lockdowns, even at destination, even at the customer end. So we do assume that once the lockdown opens, there will be a lot more capacity required to meet all products which are around. Let's move on to talk about airports. Because the airports are the key. They are connecting the demand to the supply. They are bringing and taking away the aircrafts from each city. So the airports play a very important role in ensuring that even in this critical stage, things continue to function and things continue to operate. So I would like to go in with Sanjeev, that how do you see, Sanjeev, the airport's role currently, and how would you think and how would you like to see airports facilitate the movement of goods for now?
So, Yash, I mean, I think all airports are really stepping up to the plate, and actually being very, very supportive despite lack of manpower and, all the issues related to clamp down. And so I frankly have no suggestion to offer to airports. I mean, whether you take, we are running freighters from all over the country and we're going to every airport. We're doing a lot out of Delhi, we're doing Bombay, we're doing Bangalore, we're doing Chennai, we're doing Calcutta. So it's all I class, non-I class. We're doing Hyderabad. We're going to, places like Agartala also. And we found, I mean, frankly, I'd love to give some suggestion, but I have none. I mean, they're doing a fine job. And, I'm not trying to butter them up or any such thing, but they are really doing a good job. So they're being very supportive and, giving slots, giving parking, because I think it's tough time because, as Vijay said, sometimes you need two-way cargo, it's not available. And then you need to, park your passenger aircraft in some place where there's a genuine shortage because most aircraft are parked. But we found every airport being very supportive. So I think more power to them,
Is there any wish list at all that you think would definitely facilitate movement of goods in a better way from the airports? I can tell Vijay to please go off for a minute and then you can speak if you want.
No, Vijay knows that we give him direct feedback here when we need it. That's why I said I'm not trying to butter up any airport, but we've really faced no problem. I mean, I'm sure no other airline has faced. I mean, in terms of slots, in terms of last minute slots, in terms of running charters, in terms of running, extra flights, in terms of asking for manpower, in terms of running, last night, I'll give you a simple thing. We had 4 freighters back to back in Chennai, and there was a shortage of manpower. And, Chennai stepped up to the plate. So I really can't say, boss, we are facing a lot of problems, or this guy is not helping. Or not. I mean, I'm actually being very, very complimentary in these times when they themselves must be facing a lot of problems because of labor and all such things. Yeah.
So you don't see a challenge in terms of any
From an airline's perspective, no, not at all. From a forwarder, I don't know. But from an airline's perspective, what we need from the airports, we are getting in a very difficult and a tough situation. And we go to Kritika's hometown of Surat also very often. And we go, that's why I said we go to pretty new airports, we go to pretty big airports, we go to small airports. We've been to Madurai, we've been to Coimbatore. Nobody said, don't come. Or, we can't give you slots or we won't extend watch hours and stuff like that.
So I assume that from an airport to airport operation, from a built up to a breakdown standpoint, you as a carrier are not seeing any challenges really, and everything is happening on time, and it's not really challenged at either on the built up side or on the deconsolidation side. Everything is okay from your side, right?
Pretty much, Yash. I mean, if you look at it, we're doing, Hong Kong freighters, we're doing Shanghai freighters, we're doing, difficult cargo like cargo on seat, where we're trying to, do new things but still stay within the guidelines. So yeah, we've had no problems.
Great. I tried my best to get something out of Sanjeev, which the airports were not doing right, but he just.
But I promise you, I have nothing. Otherwise, I would told Vijay, this is very bad.
He's not
This was my chance.
No,
this was a good chance, but I didn't do it.
No, Kritika, let me take it over to you. What do you see airports' role currently, and how do you see them facilitating from the customer standpoint? Maybe the airport to airport operation from an airline standpoint is doing fine, but what do you think on the customer side if everything's moving well?
Right. So Yash, there is, of course, we're in a framework right now where there's so many hiccups that we have to cross. One of the hiccups, like for example, we'll give you our example. So we represent Environtainer as the ground handler, and because the Environtainer movements, because of pharma has increased, facilitating those Environtainers, getting them just from the warehouse to the airport. Shout out to Miyal and Mr. Manoj Singh for helping us there. Because through their help and assistance and giving us the official letters, the problem right now is that in this interstate transportation as well as within the state transportation, intrastate transportation is very challenging because it's all subject to the state police department, right? So until and unless we don't get assistance from authorities and government bodies, there is no way that we can actually get this going. But having said that, it also intrigues me to see that a struggle of a little guy, the guy who's actually helping us during the customs, the one that are actually on ground, their struggle is now on a much larger scale. They are struggling, they are scared. We cannot work efficiently because they are not there. And it intrigues me to see that how the economy is on a standstill just because that little guy is not there and that little guy has a fear. So until and unless we don't take that fear of COVID, we don't start actually practicing the social distancing, the sanitization, until and unless that is not implemented, I don't think we can get our manpower back. And with how Mr. Gupta said, the struggle of manpower is really real all over, especially in India, I feel, with truck drivers, with customs guys, with guys at airports. So until and unless that is not taken care of, I don't think we can have an efficient role in the supply chain, and it can move smoothly. Yeah, that's about it.
So
is there any add-on question?
So as I understand correctly, that you see all challenges out of the airport. You don't really see a challenge within the airport in terms of manpower, in terms of the time it is taking, in terms of the attitude, the willingness of the airports to function and work.
Exactly, because see, Yash, if it was taking us, say, a few hours to, say, 5 hours to clear one shipment, now it's going to take us 8 hours because we need to sanitize the shipment. We need to sanitize every part in which the shipment moves. Of course, that's going to increase the time. And I genuinely believe everyone at the airport all over the world is doing the best they can. So I like Mr. Gupta, I don't want to sound diplomatic here, but that is the reality. You have to be complimentary at this stage.
Great, thank you, Kritika, for the point. So I will move on to the airport now and take their thought as to how they feel, how they can further step up. So it's compliments to the airport. I must say that all stakeholders so far have been very appreciative of the attitude, the willingness, and the facilities which have been created to meet the current situation challenge. How do you see, Vijayji? How do you see going forward? You could further facilitate the trade, the air cargo industry, by maybe adding capacity or even fast tracking the current processes of, or maybe facilitating movement of goods from some points within the city. How do you see the next steps as Delhi Airport, which is one of the biggest airports in India? How do you see that you could play a role there?
Yeah, thank you, Yash, and thank you, Sanjeev and Kritika, for giving your feedback. I'm not saying positive feedback or negative feedback, but thanks for giving the feedback. And Yash, Sanjeev is very clear, and he gives his feedback whenever it is he feels good or he feels bad. So thank you, Sanjeev, for that and being clear on that. See, the basic idea is it is not only the Delhi airport who is working very hard on this thing. It is all the airports, as Kritika and Sanjeev mentioned. It is not about you, actually, it is about me. And how I can support the trade and how I can support the movement of cargo, there it makes the difference. So, per se, Delhi airport has gone out of the way. I am not saying that it is only the Delhi airport, but at the same time, because when this lockdown started, and I remember that our airside was completely choked because there was around 1,000 or 800 tons of cargo which was lying on the airside. So we found out innovative ways. We went to the trade, we went to all the people to support us. How to take the import cargo out. And hats off to the people that they came forward, and in spite of a lot of challenges they were facing on the city side, getting their trucks over there. Uh, awesome, really, really awesome, and that got cleared actually. We also find out, because in the times of challenges, that how as an airport we can find innovative ways, because this was not moving out. Thanks to the government, thanks to customs, a very innovative way was looked into, like how to store and how we can store the import cargo on the export side. Literally a very, very innovative way. With the help of customs and CISF, we could make it. Export was empty and import was totally full. So what to do? So we find out a way that how, because we have a lot of ETVs in our export area. They were lying empty because there was no cargo to move from the export side. And customs made a process, we enabled, and this thing that how we can store export cargo, though the segregation and all things happen at the import side only. But these were the ways that how things happened, thanks to the trade who came forward to help. And a lot of things happened actually. And it is a basic thing of how we collaborate. And collaboration in such challenging times is not only desirable, but it is very important to have it. And if that is not so, then it is very difficult to do all these things. So I would rather compliment our stakeholders, our airline partners, our forwarders, everyone to come ahead and give us their support to facilitate them. Also, in these times, we have been reaching to our partners. We see that whenever they come and whenever they are coming to the airport, they don't find even a single problem to face. So we are just seeing, we are helping them, talking to them. We have a team of people who are just calling the customers, just calling the trade, that if there is any problem, please approach us. We are also coordinating with our transportation people in the city to facilitate the cargo to reach in and from to reach out of the airport. So that is how actually things are happening. And going forward as well, we are seeing that because now after this e-commerce and other cargo, there will be a lot of demand of that. We are seeing that how to build up the capacities with this thing. Also how the slots are available, though there are a lot of aircrafts grounded which are there, but still in that kind of a situation, we saw that how the cargo apron, how the cargo bays are made available, and they are not by any chance that they are occupied. So at any moment of time, whenever there is a freighter movement coming, we have the slots in advance, we give the approvals, whatever slots we have, and see that there is no problem as such, no issues, no concerns coming out to anyone of our partners in this difficult situation. Everyone today is struggling, be it airline or airport or our trade partners, the forwarders, everyone. So, but the only key which we have seen and which the country is seeing today is collaboration, which has come from all the stakeholders. It is not only the airport, I would rather say, it is the people who have supported the airports. It is the airport which are supporting the trade. It is how the things have being coming up, and that is really good to see. And I think not because of the challenging times, this collaboration should continue for a very, very long time going forward.
I'm very, actually it's very heartening to hear what you just mentioned about collaboration, innovation, or the various measures that the airports are trying to take today to mitigate whatever challenges are there in movement and storage of goods. Before we go forward, I have a couple of questions connected to this. I would like if Mr. Munchin could help us to carry out a poll quickly, and we could engage everybody.
Sure.
So, mentioned everyone, you will see a question on your screen, and you will see a few options. Kindly select one of the three and press the submit button.
Mr. Yash, yeah.
I will read out the question for everybody.
Yes, please.
Will the importance of air cargo change when things turn back to normal? I'll repeat. Will the importance of air cargo change when things turn back to normal? So will the air cargo importance in the world trade will increase? Will it decrease? Or if you don't have a comment, you could choose that as an option. Please select and submit. I just did. Mohsin, do we have a result?
We close in the next 5 seconds.
All right. So in 5 seconds, we'll have this. We'll have the poll on the screen.
Yeah, here we go. Yeah.
So 88% of our attendees feel that the air cargo's importance in this world, in the air cargo, is going to increase, which is very heartening, which means we are all in the right space and we are all eager to do that. 8% feel it's going to decrease and 4% are in a situation not to comment at this moment. I will just close this poll. Mohsin, are we doing another poll or should I move ahead?
As you wish, we have another poll lined up. If you wish, we can still have one more poll.
You can carry out one more poll and then we'll move ahead, please.
All right. Yeah, I'm just launching it. Here we go.
So everybody, I'll just read out this question again. Do you see passenger aircrafts to freighter aircrafts as a new emerging trends in the air cargo industry? I'll repeat it. Do you see passenger aircrafts converted to freighter aircrafts as a new emerging trend in the air cargo industry? If you feel yes, please press yes, no, or if you're not sure, you can choose the option of maybe.
Another 20 seconds, we close at 1 minute.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've done the poll and the results are going to be on our screen very soon.
We see the results here. Yes. Mr. Ash, we can see the results.
Sorry, I had actually muted myself. My apologies. So 69% of the audience feels that there is going to be more passenger aircrafts converted into freighter aircrafts as a new trend going forward. 19% do not feel so, and 13% are not sure if it will or will not be. Very interesting. Thank you, Mohsin, for the poll. I would just move forward, and Vijayji, just like to continue on the point that you just mentioned. So one of the challenges that the world feels, so this is across the world. I mean, many of our customers constantly come back to us and ask us this question. And even in India, various suppliers are asking these questions, that is it a challenge to execute non-medical equipment products from the airport currently? So if it's anything which is not got to do with the medical equipment or pharmaceuticals, is currently not getting cleared on the import side or on the export side. Could you just take that, please?
Yeah, I think when it comes to the clearance of the cargo, it is very important that the airports are available to process the essential cargo as fast as possible. And to enable that, there has to be some space, there has to be the area should be available to process that cargo. And in case the cargo is already piled up inside the terminal or it is there inside the airport, it is very difficult for anyone to process the cargo in a fast track manner. So it is important, yes. And once this is cleared, then only the essential cargo which is coming on the freighters and other things, there is a lot of demand which is going to come. There is a lot of supply which is going to come on the medical equipments. And when you see the trend, which unfortunately India is now passing through, the number of cases are going increased day by day. With this increase, there will be a lot of requirement of the equipments. There is a lot requirement of the medical supplies which are required. For faster clearance of this, we need to have a very efficient system in the supply chain. Airport is a very important role to play in the supply chain. So be it on the airport side, be it on the air side, be it inside the terminal, or be it in the city side. The cargo has to move as fast as possible. To enable this, the cargo which is there already available, already there inside the terminal has to be cleared. It depends upon the airlines that how this cargo is coming in, what are the essential commodities coming in, and they are just taking care of that so that their loads are because since they are flying the freighters and the airlines which they are flying, that has to be also economical. So I think Sanjeev will be better able to explain that whether the focus is only on the essential cargo, or for making it viable, they have to also take the non-essential cargo with it. But from an airport point of view, it is very important that a space is available at the airport for faster clearance of this thing. And we are doing our best. Still, there is some cargo which is lying inside the terminal, which we are working. But things have smoothened out. Things have got cleared very fast with the help of our stakeholders.
So as I understand correctly, you mean that the clearance and movement of goods through the airports of essential commodities is, of course, being given importance and priority, but all other products are also being handled and being cleared in due course. Is that correct?
Yeah. Because if that is not cleared, and then there will be a lot of challenge in building the space inside the terminal. There is around 1,800 tons of cargo which was lying inside the terminal. There was another 600 to 700 tons which were there on the air side. So once this is cleared, then it is a smooth. Though we have taken steps that how we could fast move the essential cargo at the same time. But these
I think we've lost. I think we lost Vijay. Kritika, can I ask you to probably come in and give your thoughts and tell us if you see all products being able to move in and out of the airports?
Yash, in my opinion, I do not see a lot of non-essential items being carried on the aircraft currently. The airlines that we're working with are only catering to essential goods. Also, I was talking to one of the airlines and they were saying that the customers are complaining that the rates have increased, the surcharges have increased, everything has increased. And on top of that, now airlines are putting cancellation. If you cancel your shipment a few hours prior to your booking, there are fees and surcharges that are also applicable. So the customers were complaining for that, and the airline just had one answer. They were like, "Listen, currently, air cargo is in a very dominant position right now. The space that air cargo is, the space on each freighter caters to every life-saving material and life-saving goods. So if the space is not respected, we will make sure that the customer has to pay for it, right?" So airlines right now are taking these essential goods very, very seriously and are trying to limit themselves to essential goods only. Having said, I believe it will be a practice only in the short term. And like Mr. Sharma mentioned, that as soon as the clearances start coming in, and the warehouses start getting empty and there's space available, we do see the non-essential goods right in the next line to be.
So I personally, just to come in as a freight forwarder as well, I personally see all products actually being carried out, though non-essential products are slower to process on the export side as well as on the import side. But as a freight forwarder, we have been moving all kinds of products from across the country. So I feel it's still happening. Essentials moving at a very, very rapid pace. Some of the airports have really been helpful on certain clearances which were of real urgent need of some of the hospitals and some of the other medical companies. Sanjeev, how do you see that? I mean, what kind of products are you currently carrying? Is it like 100% of only medical and pharmaceuticals or perishables, or is it more products that you are able to see like garments, fabric, etc.?
Yash, I would say 80% is mostly essentials. Okay, so and even the garments and fabrics are mostly for the medical supplies, etc. I mean, rubber gloves or suits or for that fabric. I think 20% is out of that. The balance 20, I think some of it is laptops and IT hardware, which I think is also in today's world essential because it is needed to work from home for a lot of IT companies. So really, it is essential. I don't see any demand for non-essentials because none is being produced or none is being sourced.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and even internationally, it's the same. It is either pending cargo which is lying in Hong Kong or it's lying in Singapore, needs to be moved here on an urgent basis, or medical supplies from China, perishables to Middle East, perishables to Malay, pharma to Dhaka. So it's mostly that, at least from our perspective.
Kritika, you want to say something, Kritika?
Yeah, Yash, I just want to ask you a counter question on that. The little, from a freight forwarder angle, the small percentage of non-essential goods also that you're catering to, do you see a hiccup in the road transportation of it, if not the air?
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we also run a trucking company, and we have been seeing movement of non-essentials as a challenge in the initial days. I would say the first 10 days of lockdown, movement of non-essential goods was a real challenge across India. Intracity or intercity was a big challenge. Post that period, I have seen relaxation as things have started to become better. The government has also rolled out various clarity circulars, which have told everybody that what can and what cannot move. And in the last circular, which was released last week, government was very clear that the movement of trucks, empty or full with any material, is allowed on a pan-India basis. So we've definitely seen a lot more products move around in the last 10 days than they were in the first 10 days of the lockdown period. So as a forwarder, like I said, we have seen all products, but it is more on the demand side issue, that the demand to move goods currently is not there of non-essentials because the customer is not there to receive goods. There is probably not any need for customers to release goods. So is why. We will just break for another poll here. Mohsin, over to you. Let's see if people coming in.
Here we go.
So the question is, will the air freight charter prices go down in the next quarter? So do you expect the charter prices which have gone over the roof? Do you expect them to go down? Say yes, no, or is it too early to make a comment? So I've submitted my reply. There is no faster finger first.
Another 20 seconds.
Right, 20 seconds it is. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Done.
Done.
Let's get the results. So 38% of the audience feels that the charter prices will go down. I'm one of them. And 40% feel that they are not going anywhere. They may rise or they may stay at the levels that they are. And 22% say it is too early to make a comment. Well, I personally feel that we are going to see a lot of change in the charter operations. I do expect the prices to go south as more products and more capacities start to come in. Currently, a lot of the airlines are not operating capacities to India. So I'm talking more on the international front, primarily due to the lack of demand. But as demand comes in from other products as well, you will see more capacities coming in and probably bring the charter prices south. Sanjeev may have a different opinion. Sanjeev, do you want to talk a little bit about it?
I share the same opinion. I think capacities will come back from international airlines, and what is right now being charged, because there is no two-way demand, and therefore you are and there is no passenger demand. So everything is being loaded onto mostly a one-way charter price. And I think that will change. So very obviously the prices will come down. So I share your views, Yash. Muted, muted.
Sorry, my apology. Kritika, what is your thought on it? I will not ask this question to Vijay, I will ask you.
I'm not going to lie. I did mention in the poll it's too early to comment, but I do second your rationale because right now it's 1 day, 1 hour, and 1 airplane at a time for us. So we were not projecting anything. So I agree with you. As soon as manufacturing resumes, there will be an increase in capacity. There will be additional airlines coming in. Yeah, I do see the prices falling from where they are right now. And all the commodities that we were catering to initially, I'm pretty sure we're going to get that back in.
Hi, Keiko.
My heartiest apologies for this late. I think I can't apologize enough for not being on this call. I'm really, really sorry.
Keiko, you've come to close the session, is it?
Sorry?
You've come to close the session in grand style, is it?
Looks like it. I've taken over Yash's job of closing this.
But this is the only job that is going to give me some money. Huh? My father is not paying my bills, so please don't take it away from me. So, Sir Keku Gazdar, since you are here, Sir Keku Gazdar, I would like to throw the next question straight at you. That what do you see is the role of government and the other regulators to in the current situation, and how do you see the government and the regulators facilitating to bring air cargo back to its glory days?
So actually, it's a good question. I'm sitting inside Madam Vandana's room. So I have to be very measured in my response when I give you an answer to this question.
That's not fair.
Is she still there? Is she there?
1 minute. Yeah.
I'm there, but Keku is going to answer the question.
Namaskar, madam. Namaskar, madam.
Madam, namaskar.
To all of you. And I can say that Keku is late for your meeting on government accounts. So that's what government is doing on air cargo. Delaying Keku for his calls.
So lovely.
Thank you.
So lovely. Just for the audience, Kekuji, would you introduce Madam as well quickly, so everybody knows where you are?
With pleasure. Madam Agarwal is a Senior Economic Advisor, Ministry of Civil Aviation. She is the Chief of Cargo in the Ministry of Civil Aviation, and all the initiatives that you see happening for cargo is all credit to her.
No.
Good introduction.
So all of that, 99%, please take with a pinch of salt, and 1% maybe somewhere he got my designation right or something.
Wonderful, wonderful. It's a pleasure to have you here, ma'am, with us. And I must compliment, before Sir Keku starts, I must compliment the role that Ministry of Civil Aviation and you personally have been playing. I have been part of various discussions over certain WhatsApp and a couple of key groups, critical groups that we formed. And to see you working almost 22 hours a day is very, very heartening. So I'll leave it to Sir Keku to now take over and tell us the role of the government here and the future.
Okay, so a couple of quick points. I will bifurcate this answer into two parts. One is what we've been doing for the last probably 3 weeks or so during this horrendous COVID situation. So as you probably know, that the government has been extremely focused on getting the trade moving. I made a comment on Twitter probably about 2.5 weeks ago when I mentioned that it took a pandemic for the air cargo fraternity to appreciate what cargo does to the air cargo industry. Should not have been that, but today the entire aviation industry is running on cargo. And it's clear from the fact that if it wasn't for cargo, today the entire civilization industry would be zilch. A big compliment, therefore, to the entire stakeholders present here who have given their everything to get the cargo moving at these times. Now, if you see from the initiatives in specific over the time, you could see that the businesses that are flowing in from various sectors are continue to move, be it in terms of situations in the warehouses, be it in situations with customs, with forwarders, with GHAs, with GSAs, with everybody today. I am very proud to say that we practically have nil backlog, nil roadblocks. And that is not a mean feat in a country like ours. And I'm not here to pat my back or pat ministry's back. This is a fact for everyone to see. I can see and I can hear what's happening in the shipping industry. I can see what's happening in the other industries where they've got clogs. Ports are clogged. None of our airports today are clogged. Not a single one is clogged. So that is a compliment, I think, that is bestowed probably to all of us.
Keku, heartily agree. And, without, we don't butter you up, but I think you and Mocha and Ma'am, of course, have really been very, very proactive. And we'd like to put it on record from our side. Okay.
Thank you, Sanjay. Vijayji and Kritika, quick word from Vijayji, you first, then Kritika, and then we'll move out of this and we'll get into some Q&A from...
Yeah, good afternoon, Keku, and good afternoon, ma'am. It is really amazing, actually, to see all the stakeholders coming, like what Keku mentioned, and we were discussing about it. With regards to the government, actually, it is really amazing. The way the government has come, the regulatory aspects have come, the kind of a support which has come. It is, I would say that they are, the government is faster than anyone else, which is really working very hard to make the things happen on ground. One aspect which I would like to mention here is that it is not that the people or the partners or the stakeholders are going to the government for any particular support. They are going. But the support is coming from the government before they even go to them to ask for a support. That is a kind of thing, that is a kind of change which we are seeing. And thanks to Madam Keku and the entire ministry who is really working hard. The invites are not going from stakeholders to the government, to the Madam, to Keku. The invites are coming from the government. See the kind of the proactive approach which has been handled. If you go with a problem, it is not that the problem is passed on to someone else. The solution comes right away. So that is the thing which we are seeing, and that is how, and that is why Keku is saying that none of the airport is clogged today. It is all because of the support of stakeholders and huge support from Madam. I have seen people who are calling from their mobile and asking them, take your cargo, whatever support is required, we are going to provide. See, this is the kind of things which are happening on ground. No one can actually believe it, and this is the kind of support which we are seeing. Extraordinary. If you see, and if you go with any kind of a problem or any kind of a concern, next day you see that there is a resolution which is coming in some circular or other, it is coming out. So this is how the things are happening, the things are changing, and the proactive approach which is being taken by the government and the regulatory bodies, it's heads off.
Thank you, Vijayji. Before I leave it to Kritika to finish off with this point, it has been really heartening, even on the digital side, the kind of initiatives that the regulatories and the government is trying to make. We've seen some very positive changes, which are not just going to impact the easier flow and clearance of goods for now, but even for future. So it's really heartening to see that the regulatories are making the right move to ensure that there is quicker facilitation of movement of goods in and out of the country and even domestically. Kritika, just some finishing comments from you.
I absolutely second the thoughts of the co-members on the panel here. there is a high level of coordination between the people on the ground. That is the airports, the airlines, the operators, ground handlers, everyone. The coordination between governmental bodies and this supply chain has always been essential. And right now, in times like COVID, we see that extremely high level of coordination between these two parallel lines. And it is unbelievable to see how efficient that is working. I mean, from an airline perspective, whenever we've approached the government for any kind of slot approvals or P2C permissions for the airlines that we represent to come into India, we've got them right away. So it's been extremely delightful to be working with them. So thank you for everything.
Okay, great. So I'm very glad to see that everybody, all stakeholders, are actually in sync with the initiatives that the government of India and the regulatories are able to take. It's quite heartening. Can we, Mohsin, have the next poll before we open this for a Q&A from the audience?
Sure. Here we go.
So the next question is, we have seen what happened to South African Airways. Is there any contingency plan for Air India, SpiceJet and Indigo? So the options are: government should fund these airlines, relax the parking and other taxes, or yet to be seen. So obviously the aviation industry is struggling around the world. The airlines are really bleeding and they need support. So there are three options that are coming into your screen. Please put your reply and submit it. Here we go. I've submitted. Mohsin.
Yes, 5 more seconds.
5 seconds.
Yes. Here we see the results.
Yes, please. Wonderful. So 19% of the audience feels that government should fund these airlines to go across this period and survive and come back into business. 58% of the people here feel relaxing the parking and other taxes would be of hugely help to the carriers. And 23% are yet to see what the real impact of this is going to be. Very interesting poll here. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now start to take a few questions which have come up on our on the screen. Few of these questions were sent to us before. I'm going to read them out for all of you. So the first question which came in from Mr. Arun Kumar from Synergy Supply Chain is traffic zone that most of the belly space of combi flights will be missing from the market for a substantially long period of time. Under these circumstances of cargo only flights being in operation, causing a demand supply imbalance globally for India, would you see this challenge as an opportunity? So Ketuji, since you've been out of action, maybe you can take up this question first and then I'll ask Sanjeev to.
Okay, it's true what Arun mentioned on the capacity. You are not going to see a V-shaped recovery. So if we're thinking that this is going to be a V-shaped recovery, in my opinion, it's not going to. It's going to be a U-shaped recovery. Now, in a U-shaped recovery, the challenge that will come is you will have an imbalance between the demand and supply of capacities. That is bound to happen. If you flip this on the other side, it also opens up tremendous opportunities for freighters and freighter operators to the country and out of the country. Yes, you will see there will be a time when you will have some challenges in getting capacities. What we are observing at this moment is the imbalance has already started. As you see more and more of inbound cargo coming in at this moment, and there's not so much of exports. Needless to mention, that's due to the fact that a lot of the factories or most of them are still under lockdown. However, we should keep in mind at this moment is that it gives us all a very good opportunity to re-strategize, rethink, and replan our way forward. This is a time when we can sit back and really analyze what is going to happen with a 60-40 imbalance or a 70-30 imbalance, where majority is going to be on inbound. It is going to take, at least in my experience, and given the fact of information coming from the PMI index, you're not going to see exports start probably in the next 3 to 4 months at the very, very earliest. To go back to pre-March levels, I would give it 6 to 8 months at the very, very earliest. However, with what has happened in terms of the pharma industry showing the world that the products are in highest demand all over, the pharma industry could weather this at a much faster pace, followed by the agriculture sector. I think the other sectors will take a little more time. But I would like to hear whether I'm on the same page with the rest or not.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, now it's clear.
Yeah, Sanjeev, would you like to make a quick comment on this as well?
Yeah, see, my view, as what Kritika said, it's one plane, one airport, one sector every day. So I really can't gaze into the crystal ball because everything changes very rapidly. However, I agree with Keku that the recoveries are going to be slow because everything is so intertwined that the recoveries are going to be slow, even for sectors, and they'll be by sectors, as obvious. Some sectors will grow much faster, some sectors will take a long time to come. So I think for us as an airline, we have to be very, very flexible in being able to create capacity on passenger aircraft as the need arises. We need to see where we bung in our bombardiers, where there's a smaller capacity required. We need to see how we move our freighters from high volume lanes. If international carriers come into a particular lane and it doesn't make sense for us to be there, because our freighters will also start moving on the domestic routes, which are far more important to us over a long period, because that is where we build our brand than elsewhere. So, slow recovery, watch it as it gives, every 10 days, make a plan, work with sectors, work with customers. So our entire sales team every day is talking to our customers and, asking them their needs, asking them what we can help. Slowly start opening up. As we said, we started building up our first mile, last mile, as we got permissions from the police, etc., etc. We're looking at slowly start looking at new innovations. Maybe in the next 1 month we'll have fully converted Bombardier freighters, 8-tonners, which will be without seats. So I think innovation, wait and watch, flexibility is the name of the game, and work with sectors, work with various lanes. I think that's the way I would put it. Not as articulate as Keku is.
Yeah, so I agree with you, Sanjeev, when you say the economy is going to open up sector by sector. I'm a bit of a optimist, so I would say that it's not going to take 3 months for the economy to start doing it. Majority of the sector exports, I think, is going to happen before that, maybe 50% of the time, in what Keku was saying. So this is my personal opinion. I'm just taking a comment or a question from one of the customers, without naming the gentleman, that there is a customer with automotive spare part shipment in India, but due to the lockdown, these cannot be shipped. When can we expect the situation to improve in India to allow for exports out of India via air freight. So as a freight forwarder, what I would like to mention is that all products are moving. There is no product which is in any ways restricted on the first or the last mile connectivity within India, or the custom clearance at the airport, or the airlines are saying no to take it. So probably there is another challenge that one of your customer has. So please reach out to, I would say, your service provider who could connect you and get you the best solution. There's a question to Vijay Sharma ji. Vijay ji, there's a question to you. How do you motivate and encourage your guys to come in day in, day out and go back to their families without the fear of infection?
I would say that we have minimized the fear of infection at our workplace. We are taking all the measures, one, and that is of the utmost importance. People are comfortable, and I would I'm proud to convey that it is not that we say that you come or the other person come. I get the request in the mornings that today I am going to come. So this is how the people are working on ground, and the real motivation is our customers actually. So bringing in the new challenges, because they have been tuned to it that come the challenge and we are here to support. And that is the kind of a culture which has been inculcated in our team members. And that is true with others. It is only Delhi or our offices are concerned. A lot of things are happening on ground, and when they see the challenge and when they are able to overcome that, that is the real motivation which they are finding in themselves and in the things to and the times to come. So that is the only thing, and we keep all care of our employees as well as our customers, and that is of the utmost importance and for care for us.
I do assume that, all the proper sanitization activity to give confidence to the teams is happening at the airports, which all airports are doing, and constant engagement with the teams to reinforce that they need not fear and come back. It's really heartening, and it's not just for the people from the airports, but the entire air cargo ecosystem around the world. It's kudos to them, which have without fear moved out of their homes and gone and serviced every need of the world today. Needless to say, it is definitely true that without an effective air cargo system, which could even work in this critical times, the world could have come to a standstill. There is a question that I see here. So challenge of arranging manpower to clear import and export shipments, take delivery stands difficult. In such situations, demurrage, storage charges, challenge ports to port varies. Can't we request for all central decision pan-India? Maybe Keku, you would take that. I mean, I could have passed a few comments, but I'll let Keku talk about it, and then maybe I can add.
Thanks, Yash. I won't comment on the ports. All I can say is between the airports and the seaports, in terms of the cargo in the terminals, airports are doing far better. This is my personal observation. Should there be a pan-India decision on demurrage and storage, etc.? The answer, in my opinion, again, is no. Each of us have our own challenges as a sector. So comparing the container movement at a port and cargo at the airport, in my opinion, is not a wise thing to do. The initiatives that the government has given for demurrage is clearly working. We made the terminals work, we made the airlines work, and all of us in the ecosystem work. Had we decided that, okay, you know what, let's give this demurrage waiver in perpetuity, yeah, today our terminals would have been clogged. And probably you would appreciate that once we start getting equipments which are high pharma, very urgently required to be cleared, where are you going to clear this from? So to answer your question, or whoever's put the question forward, I think it's a very wise move that we did on the demurrage. And we are able to today be successful in having our terminals fully functional and operational.
I'm sorry. I was muted. So I will just take one more quick question on, which is on the perishables. How are we going to address perishables farm produce challenges during these COVID-19? Only the freighters are flying and these perishables can't afford the soaring freighter charges. Is there any initiatives from the government, as the terminals have lost a lot of perishable exports and so does the customers who are feeling the challenge? Maybe Sanjeev ji, if you want to say something, is the government trying to take any steps towards it?
Yeah, I think government is very actively working on this Krishi Udan. I think there is a very active role which our government, the Ministry of Civil Aviation, is playing along with APIDA and all to solve this problem. We as an airline are also a small part of it. We are part of this initiative. What we've done is, because freighters are expensive, we moved to passenger and seat for perishable. We are offering our, and there the rates are much lower. We are offering our bombardiers, which can take about 5-ton capacity to do, short-run perishable routes. So whatever is available right now, I mean, we can't get back to pre-COVID situations and solve everybody's problem. But whatever is available, we are trying to innovate for the perishable market. I mean, that for the marine industry, we've been, even when there is a clampdown in Tamil Nadu, and we've been running our freighters from Chennai to Surat and Calcutta, and we've got kudos from the Gujarat shrimp industry and in writing, and we've got some nice PR from them, and we get kudos every day of saying, thank God your freighters are flying. And I said, beyond freighters, we are happy to do passenger on seat, which is much cheaper. We are happy to do smaller freighters. So wherever we can chip in, we are happy to do within the constraints of the COVID situation.
So good. Yeah, thank you so much, Sanjeev, for that. There's one important point that I can see amongst the points that are mentioned on the chat. Are we taking any steps? So any of the stakeholders taking any step to sanitize cargo after they get a possession or after it lands at the airports or reaches the airport? Is this is one of the concerns that a lot of customers have, that the cargo that finally comes to them, is it sanitized? So Vijayji, would you like to take that first, and then maybe Keku?
Yeah, we are looking into it, Yash, and we are looking how to see it, because currently the cargo was lying more than 24 hours to 36 hours, and for fast moving cargo, we are just seeing that what technology and what other things we can use.
So what we currently are doing is, on a very periodic time, the entire terminal is getting sanitized. So it's not just the cargo, but the entire terminals are sanitized. So we are ensuring that we, the truckers, truck drivers, helpers, my teammates, my colleagues, etc., are sure that when they are coming to work, they are also in a safe and sterile environment. So this is something that we take very seriously, and it has a very, very big impact on our business. So this is something that's been regularly done in our terminals.
Thank you very much, Keku and Vijayji. I think we're past our time now. I would take one quick comment from all our panelists and then close the session. Let's start with the lady, the beautiful lady Kritika. Can you do a final closing comment, please?
Thank you, Yash. I mean, it's been a privilege virtually sitting shoulder to shoulder with you, extremely knowledgeable panelists and experienced gentlemen. So thank you. All I'm saying, I'm extremely privileged and proud to be here. It's a tough time, but it's nothing that we cannot overcome. So I am excited to see what the post-COVID situation looks like. But until then, one day at a time for all of us. And I'm sure we'll ride this side. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Vijayji, can I have a closing comment from you?
Yeah. Actually, this is a very difficult situation which we are all going through, and we stand committed. And collaboration is the key. And going forward as well, we have to work together so that the challenges which we are currently facing in has to be overcome by any chance. At the same time, we have to take all the precautions while taking up our operations, because that is the prime and the utmost concern, that we all are safe, our customers are safe, and all measures are taken on ground so that there is no untoward incident
Thank you, Vijayji. Sanjeev, a closing comment from you.
Yeah, I think in today's very difficult situation, I'm infused with a lot of hope, because in all the discussions we are doing, we are discussing solutions. We are not playing a blame game. Airports are not blaming airlines, which could quite happen, or we are blaming the government. We are all working together, and we're all working together. And I think if we work together, we'll come up with really good solutions, and that's very good. We are not wasting our time blaming or fighting each other. We are working together, and that's very good hope in these difficult times. I mean, that's the way I feel. Okay.
Thank you, Sanjeev, for the positive comment. Keku, Sir Keku Gazar.
Yeah, the Queen is going to get very upset for you for calling me sir. She hasn't knighted me as yet. So please stop calling me sir. I want to end by saying thank you to this amazing fraternity. Amazing. I mean, you guys are simply outstanding. This would never have been made possible if it wasn't for every single member, the 60,000 people who are in the cargo industry in India. Big salute to you guys. It is your effort that has made this happen.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Keku, for the positive comment. Just before I close, I'll like to add something here, that it is an absolute fact that the air cargo industry around the world has been extremely resilient. It's risen to perform in these extremely challenging times. Kudos to each and every person around the world. Kudos to each and every stakeholder around the world. Like Sanjeev mentioned, the collaboration that we have seen at this hour, especially in India, is exceptional. And it's very heartening to see how we all are coming together, whether it's the private sector or the public sector. Despite the bleeding that we see on the carrier side, the carrier are still standing up, delivering, moving goods from one point to another. It's really heartening to see the custom brokers, the truckers, every stakeholder of the industry stand up and fight this out. We are resilient. Mankind is very resilient. And like I said before, I see exports and imports, movement of domestic goods happening faster than a lot of people think. It's absolutely apt to say what Keku mentioned. The world today appreciates air cargo even more. And I think it's only time that air cargo stands up and contributes even more to the world today. Thank you very much. A word from Madam Vandana, I can see her. So maybe a quick word from her before we close.
Hello to everybody, and let me not have the last word, because I think in this air cargo fraternity, all of you stakeholders have had the last word through your actions, actually. So it's been much less of wordplay. It's been much more of camaraderie. It's been much more of putting the entire supply chain, stringing it all together, whether it's the trucker who has a problem. So I've seen all of you run around trying to get passes for them, trying to make sure they don't get held up. I've seen all of you go through hooplas, trying to manage the documentation from your offices, which are closed, and how you have then worked around to find solutions. I've seen customs play such a supportive role, whichever be the area. I've seen the government working with all of you as though we were never different. We were never different, but in the crisis, what we saw was the whole team endeavor. Initially, air cargo was all about domestic essential shipments, mainly medical kits, mainly pharmaceuticals, through the lifeline Udan. Immediately, it switched to imports as well from different parts of the world, mainly for our struggle to contain the COVID virus from spreading. And now, as the agricultural season has brought new demands for exports, and also the pharmaceutical sector has been on the springboard, virtually global springboard. I think we've sent out consignments already to 108 countries from our shores by air. So I would say that the air cargo fraternity very quickly and swiftly moved from an import focus to a mixture of exports and imports of what is really essential cargo and dangerous cargo as well to ship around. I have seen a lot of willingness within the government to bring in reform of the air cargo sector so that we continue to achieve the kind of performance standards that earlier might have been unheard of. For instance, I can tell you we set a global benchmark when we cleared a dangerous good consignment within 7 minutes of touchdown of the aircraft to handing it over to the importer. 7 minutes. It was high value cargo at that and dangerous goods at that. So it just goes to show that when we put our mind to it and when we have online documentation, advanced documentation, then the kind of performance standards we can achieve are simply phenomenal. So if anything we have learned in this particular phase, I mean, every cloud has a silver lining. I think one of the silver linings for us has been that we can go into an e-governance mode on air cargo, which will in the future bring us a lot of efficiencies for costs, etc., and also for performance standards. So I would like us to apply our minds as to how we can begin to do things differently. We have, for the first time, a domestic hub and spoke model for moving air cargo. Let's agree to retain it. We have been trying to put in place a similar hub and spoke model for exports and our international shipments. SpiceJet, Blue Dart, the freighters amongst us have been doing a commendable job in putting out flights at the click of a finger, if I may say. And so has the national carrier and all the other private airlines. They have been jumping in to try a new mode of movement of air cargo, which is on all cargo passenger aircraft. And they have even begun to put it on their seats, as I heard Sanjeev also mention earlier. So let's try to see how we can work by not only spreading, I would say, the pain or sharing the pain of the financial pain of the moment amongst all of us in a egalitarian manner, but also to try and see how the revenues, which we hope will get realized by the droves in the coming few days and months as we get our act together, that it brings all of you to a position of eminence, and the Indian aviation sector can stand out among the world's swiftest, fleetest in terms of air cargo revitalization and re-emergence. I can give you so many English words, but as many of you know me, I do mean them, and I'm committed to working with all of you at the nitty-gritty end so that I can push your agenda within the government as well. So you have two open ears all the time available to you, and ready to work with you for the future of our aviation sector. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Vandana Agarwal. It's always great to see you, and it's always great to hear you. You just don't have 2 ears to listen, which a lot of other people do. You also have other body parts that you use to action things, which is really, really great. I mean, I've been, like I said, I've been part of groups, and I've been seeing your messages at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., 6 a.m. At all times. It's really great that in such a challenging time, it is the government which is standing with the private sector and trying to service mankind. So thank you very much for your kind comments, and it's great to have you on our show on this webinar. I would like to thank all the panelists, all the lovely panelists for their kind comments and their thoughts on this situation. A big thank you also to Messe Munchen for organizing this webinar for us. And that's it. Over and out from me, Yash, from the desk. And Messe Munchen, would you like to take over to close this? Or
Yes, well conducted.
thank you,
Very
sir.
nice, Yash.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Yash.
Thank you, Kiki.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you before and after. Thank
Bye,
you.
Meena.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.